Thank you. All right. Hi there. My name's Andrew. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic.
Andrew.
My sobriety date is August 24th, 2019. And it's my first time here. So I appreciate you guys having me, and thanks for getting together and having a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous tonight. I need you. I need every one of you guys in my life so that I can have another day of sobriety. My story is not special. I'm just a run of the mill alcoholic. It was a hard lesson to learn that. I started off to fast forward. I tried to get sober on my own a bunch of different times. Alcohol had destroyed my marriage and separated me from I did it. I separated from my children myself by my decisions, and left me in a place where I was dying on the inside. I really needed to find substance in something. I was completely bankrupt in every step of every way you can say the word. And at that time, the only thing I knew at that time was how alcohol had helped me through making a lot of the decisions and the ways that I felt. It's really the only thing I knew. The only way I knew how to change the way I felt. And that turned into be about a gallon a day whiskey drinker, and didn't take long for to grenade my whole career. And I wound up through a chain of events. I wound up homeless for several years, and I lost my humanity in a way. I lost how to be a normal person in a normal place with normal feelings. I didn't know how to do any of that. But I still had these kids. I had these kids that were relying on me. And so I finally made a decision to call home again for the first time in about 18 months, and called my ex-wife and I'm like, just let me talk to the kids. I got my daughter who's about 3.5, and my son who was 2, and I hear a sound that would forever change the course of my life. I hear, "Hey kids, your dad's on the phone." I hear, "Daddy." It didn't matter what I had become. It didn't matter what any of that stuff that had happened to me, because that little girl, I was her daddy. And that was the first time I got one of those where I didn't fit in my own skin. Like, I saw the person that I needed to be, and who I was just didn't fit, just didn't cut the mustard. It didn't match up. And I knew I had to get sober. I had to change something. I had to become that person that she thought I was, who she needed me to be. And I just didn't know how to do it. So I spent 5 years trying every other way I could think of. Inpatients and spiritual church programs, and go live here and under this guy. And I couldn't get sober for nothing. As soon as I started having feelings again, and then that you turn the light off at night, and what is waiting for you there is you. And I couldn't get past that part of it. But one day I found a program of recovery that today I sleep like a baby. I sleep in perfect peace and ease, because I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. I came into to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I didn't know where to really begin. But they told me some pretty simple knowledge that was helpful. They said, pull the cotton out of your mouth and put it in your, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth, and sit down and just listen to what they got to say, And I started listening, just dying in my own flesh, just really having a hard time. And I got together a sponsor. Little by little, it started getting better. My life started turning around. I got a job, got my license back. I got a lot of things going, got visitations again with my children. But I still didn't know how, and I did most of the steps. I did a fairly good job, almost. I did an inventory of most of the things in my life, and I found that the trivial excuse returned, and I drank again. 2.5 years later, I found myself in a crazy chain of events that I sat on the side of this embankment looking in front of a pond. And another weekend that had been the same story of my life over and over again, like Groundhog Day on repeat. Another crazy scenario. And I sat there, and at this time I was busted and broken. I had no more ideas. I didn't have any more. I knew what was going to happen to me in the morning when I went and I stared at that judge. I knew what was going to happen. He was going to take a look at me, and he was going to see me for who I was, for what I was, and that was not okay with me. I didn't know how to change that. I'd become powerless, and I sat down on some embankment all night. And when the sun came up, there was this gigantic bird. It spent the night, a blue heron, had spent the night in the pond, like 10 feet in front of me, right? And he must have heard me yelling and screaming and kicking rocks and stuff all night. But as soon as the sun came up, just a little bit, you could barely see, he took off, and it's biggest one I've ever seen to date. And when he took off, I had a spiritual experience that I felt a peace and ease, that my life was going to be okay, that somehow there was some overwhelming feeling that it's going to be all right. My last drink was shortly after that. I'd like to say I could. I want to cut two steps here, getting the high sign here. So it was right after that I had my last drink, and I began working the steps, and I had a sponsor that I was working with, and again I saw my life getting better, and but I got a resentment against my sponsor, and I stopped calling him. And then I had a problem where my journal got taken, and I felt it wasn't safe to journal anymore. So I stopped talking about my feelings. So I found myself out about 9 months, and I was dying. I was dying on the inside. I mean, I was sitting in a group, and they're like, "Hey, that guy over there, man, he's about to drink." Like, that guy over there. Everybody knew it but me. And so this guy comes up. He's sitting over there. He comes up and he says, "Hey." Oh yeah, and I was talking about the 9th step. Oh yeah, I'm on the 9th step, man. I'm on the tail end of the steps, doing great. Just lying through my teeth, dying on the inside, and I wasn't fooling anybody. He comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Saturday morning, 10:30, you're meet me right here in this building." Didn't tell me why. Didn't tell me anything like that. But I was so desperate, and I'd learned to take suggestions in the program that I just showed up. They told me suit up and show up. Just show up. And so that's what I did. I showed up at 10 o'clock in the morning. I walk into a room, and he's got a big book sitting on a table on an empty chair, and there's a big book sitting in front of him. He tells me to sit down. Starts just like that. And he's like, "Where would we begin?" We begin with open the front cover. And then on the first page is where we began. And we go all the way through, and we read every word, And so I get a highlighter, and I start writing stuff in the margin, highlighting, and for the first time, I start getting some relief on that stuff. I realized that I'm the problem. I'm the one it's not anybody else in my life that is the problem. So the first step was pretty well fought, pretty hard earned. And I knew I was powerless, and that my life was unmanageable, drunk or sober. When I got into the second step, I had to commit that I was going to do the program as laid out. Not Andrew's program, not Andrew's idea. That I made a decision to follow the program with everything that I had and just do as it was laid out. So I made a decision to turn my will and my life over the care of God as I understood Him. When I got to when you do a step, you get all the way to the end, and by the time you get to the end, there's nowhere else to go. So I've admitted that I can't do it. I admitted that God is in my life, and there's a program of action that, if lived, will generate a spiritual awakening. And when I got to 3, I made a decision. I got that one wrong, didn't I? That was came to believe the power greater myself. My bad. Anyway, so at the 3rd step, I sat down in a church next to my sponsor, another man, and we got on our knees and we said the 3rd step prayer together. And again, I got another spiritual experience from that. So I started getting relief from that stuff on the inside, that stuff that was waiting for me every night. And when I went into a fourth step, I was in a relationship, and I could tell you it's not a good idea to get in a relationship in the first year. I think I'm an authority on that. I can tell you every way why it's a bad idea. Everything except I didn't drink, and she didn't drink. That's my wife today that we've been married. We got married last summer, and it's a miracle. It's another miracle that happens in here in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. So when I started doing a fourth step, I realized that I couldn't do a fourth step through prayer and meditation. I found that I couldn't do a fourth step, the inventories that were necessary while in a relationship. I had to put the steps, the most important thing in my life. I had to make them which was putting God as the most important thing in my life. And so anyway, I had a portion where I wasn't together with it. I started doing a fourth step, right? My head was a mess if I just concentrated on the steps. The way I did it was 45 minutes every night. You put a pen and paper in front of you, and if nothing, you don't write anything, you sit there for 45 minutes, no TV, no phone, nothing. You just sit there. But I found that if you say a prayer beforehand, God, show me what I need to know. A God of my own understanding, it could be anything you want. That was the God that I know. And I found that my higher power became a companion for me, showed me that it's going to guide me through the steps, that I'm not doing this on my own, that I have a power greater than myself. And I started understanding that that's where this was coming from. And I developed a relationship through the fourth step. I got to a place where I thought, okay, I'm done. Yeah, I've got it all. It'd been about 7 weeks at that point, every night. And, I got it all. I go up there, hey, man, check it out. I'm ready for that fifth step. And he takes a look at it, do it again. Okay, all right, man, go back. That's all right. Agreed to go to any lengths, right? So I fill it out again and hand it to him. He's like, well, what about that one thing you told me? Oh yeah, that's right. Go through there and finally get to a point where I shared my fifth step with him till about 19, and I had an onion peeling experience where you get all the way down to get rid of it all. You find that there's more you couldn't see. I start peeling the onion back over a period of about 12 weeks, 12 or 13 weeks. By the time I finished the combination fourth and fifth step, during this time COVID happened. They shut everything down. So I didn't know what I was going to do without meetings, without a program of recovery. But I did have a program of recovery. I had the steps and I had my sponsor. So my sponsor began working with me over speakerphone every morning at 10 a.m. We'd sit and do the steps on the phone. And at the end of the fifth step, when I finally got down to the bottom of all the causes and conditions, when it was fine, all my stuff was removed, root and branch. Bill describes this experience very well in here on page 13 of Bill's story. How are we doing on time? Okay, thank you. So he said, there I humbly offered myself to God as I then understood him, to do with me as he would. I placed myself unreservedly under his care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, that without him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away root and branch. I have not had a drink since. That's Bill's words, and that's my words too. That's how it was. That's how it was with me. At the end of the fifth step, I had another spiritual experience that would turn out to be a spiritual awakening. I had a profound effect where I saw the green was greener and the birds sang a different song. When I looked outside, my world was different. I showed up to the world differently. And I was freaked out. So I did what I was taught to do, go to a meeting. And I went into a meeting and they said the same thing, that there's something different about you today. And I again started having relief in this program. I had relief in the steps, and that gave me the ability to show up and to be entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. But I found out that because once that happened and I was fundamentally changed from the inside, I found out that there's still stuff broken, that I'm broken, man, that I'm a square peg trying to go into a round hole in my life. And I can't do anything about that. If I think I can, go back to step one. I'm powerless over this, the alcoholism, the ism that's inside of me. But good thing for me, God is not. My God, as I understand him, is not. so I could become entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And he started to. And then I found out another thing during this time. He assigned me Drop the Rock. He assigned me a new pair of glasses. We're working not only through the book, reading through the book, but we're also doing other stuff each day, still meeting daily. And I found that I had to do something else. I had to get humble. I had to humbly ask him to remove my defects of character, humbly remove my shortcomings. Anyway, so I becoming humble in my program, that God can do for me what I cannot do for myself, and that when I go to meetings and I share, that's not going to go away, that's a continual process, because it's not a one and done at the steps. I'm going to work the steps every day for the rest of my life, and it's the life that it's beyond measure. To wrap it up, because I know I'm getting there on time, is that since I came in maybe about a little over 4.5 years ago, I was a Skid Row alcoholic. Very, very low down. I didn't trust anybody or anything. And through the miracle of the steps, today not only have I been able to hold a job, I'm a drug and alcohol counselor because I had the ability to go to college, and I'm in my third year working on my undergrad. And I had nothing. I bombed out of high school. None of this was possible for me. I got married last year, and I had an AA wedding where we had about 200 people from the fellowship, and it became and I found out what this WE program is. And today, when I go into a meeting anywhere around my area, these are friends that I'm in a meeting with. These are people that have been in my life to grow in the steps, to grow in the fellowship. It's an experience that if you don't know what it's like, find out. Go find out. Work the steps and become made new by this program. Today I got a job, and I've been working for the state of Washington now. Now I've got a career, and I find that these principles that they've taught me through the steps, through the book, they translate into every part of my life. When I show up at work in my new career, I get to show up as a proud member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I get to show up as a 12-step man. And it's a lot better than the life I used to have. So I'm going to keep coming back. And I thank you guys.
Thank you.